It's a big day for every day in the survivors of this race, I think, now, as we run down the final big mountain climb here to the top of the Pandera, a famous mountain, and this has been one terrific race, a last chance for Valverde to get his own back.
Well, I'll tell you what I think, Phil, today the race is all about the final climb of the day. Leaving Granada in the morning, the riders move 153 kilometres to that final ascent up to the summit of the Sierra de la Pandera, and all of the day they will be in the shadows of the Great Sierra Nevada, one of the highest roads in Europe.
And there is the little contour for you. It takes them up. Look at the gradient, 14, 16, 15% as we complete an 8.3 kilometres ascent, and the finishing line awaits the riders, and possibly the final golden jersey is laid there as well.
Well, you've got Case d'Espagne on the front of the group here, trying to set it all up. A little bit further back, you've got the white jersey now back on the shoulders of Carlos Sastre. The golden jersey is on the shoulders, of course, of Alexander Vinokourov. But I don't think that the man who was led this race for so long, Alejandro Valverde, is going to give up.
6 kilometres. The rider's just peeping into our picture here. First chance to see Egoi Martínez in his leader's jersey in the King of the Mountains. I can tell you he's increased that lead because he was first over the top of the second category climb, the Los Valares, and not scoring any points with Cauchioli, so he appears to have given that one up. And it looks like that's going the way now of Martínez, and here comes an attack immediately now as they start again, the Astana boys.
Well, Andrei Kashekin again trying to get himself a stage victory. He was marked there. It looked like one of the riders from CSC came honking out, and it was, yes, it is Carlos Sastre. Everybody's changing the jerseys every other day here. It's difficult to keep track of what jersey anybody's actually wearing, but that's a good move. But they're pulling it back together. Case d'Espagne have got them nailed back there. Alejandro Valverde in second place in the main field.
But look how rapidly that group split as soon as they got the attack. Just look at this now. And this again is the old 1-2 being delivered by the Astana team, just like it was yesterday. Kashekin starting the move, Vinokourov finishing it off. Now he's checking the damage done, and he's backed off because CSC have come up, and so too has Case d'Espagne. And this is an attack now by Valverde. He's got to do this because he wants that. Vinokourov is in orange now, isn't he? That's right, sorry. Alexander Vinokourov, the old 1-2, has done it again, and this time he wants the motorbike out of the way because he's going for gold, big time.
That is a big move by Alexander Vinokourov, and he's right up there. He's actually caught all of the press motorbikes, I think, Phil, by surprise, and because there are so many of them, they've actually got nowhere to go at all. Now, he may well be waving them on, but you can be absolutely certain he's taking a little bit of an advantage from them too.
Well, it's not his fault. He wants to get on with the job now because that was another example of the 1-2. This has been a perfect team here. And one has to say now it's rather a shame that it didn't get its start in the Tour de France. It's animated the Tour of Spain, and thank heavens for Valverde's presence as well, because without him I think they'd have run away with this race.
Well, there's Vinokourov. Somebody's coming across the gap, and it's actually a dark jersey. It's one of the Case d'Espagne riders. Now, this is a rather strange tactic because he should be sitting back and looking after his own team leader.
I think he just heard you because he slowed down. It's Joaquim Rodriguez here.
Yep.
He was trying to get something going. Valverde didn't follow him.
Yeah, where is Valverde? Here he is coming across. No, he's not.
No, this should be our old friend Gomez Marchante again, and I suspect that it looks a bit small for Sanchez. It might be Anton.
Well, you can see, in fact, Rodriguez there, Phil, has sat up and he's gone backwards. His acceleration was so violent, but this man now is looking at another stage victory. He really is ripping it apart here.
Well, you pull on the golden jersey as it is, and now he is moving. That gap of 9 seconds at the start of the day is no longer fragile because he's inching it wide open here. There's still a time trial to come, and Vinokourov, as we saw in the first time trial, not a lot between Vinokourov and Valverde. Shouldn't be too decisive. This is where he wanted to do the big ride today, and clearly he hasn't used all his energy up. He's still got plenty left.
A very dry, arid part of Spain here. These riders looking over their shoulders there. You can see the white jersey of Alejandro Valverde. He's sitting on the wheel of Andrei Kashekin. Team Astana now really seem to be the team playing the best tactical cards.
Gomez Marchante trying to take advantage yet again of the infighting and sneak away because he's also looking for the top finish. He's been there before. It's nice to do it again. Remember, out on the road, it's Alexander Vinokourov who's heading the race. Marchante 5th overall at 4:30. Look at the angle of that road up there. This is the way to the top of the Pandera. 51 in the white jersey again now as Pro Tour leader Alessandro Valverde. And you know, he's rocking a little bit here.
Kashakin has gone again off the front of this group now. This is not a good sign for Alejandro Valverde. This was the day when I thought he might bounce back. We're looking at 16 seconds between Vinokourov and Marchionte, but we're probably now, Phil, looking at around about 30 seconds back to the man who led this race up until yesterday, Alejandro Valverde.
Now who's going to come up here now and join Gomez Marchionte? Valverde is trying. He's still being helped by faithful Rodriguez here. That's Sanchez just off the left shoulder, and this is the steepest part of the climb yet again. Valverde all of a sudden looking a little bit frail now, and no sign of that attitude coming from Vinokourov.
Not at all, he really is having a very hard time today. I was certain that this man had the mettle to bounce back, but you know what, when you get the 1-2 from Team Astana, it's not very easy to follow. This is the second group on the road. Sastre has been very attentive. He wants to make sure he keeps his podium position, which is why he's gone straight after Andrei Kashakin, and Gomez Marchionte, he's looking to try and consolidate as well.
Just look at the power of this man as he rides that bike. Alexander Vinokourov, well known around the world for his aggressive racing, well known for his great victories, a third place in the Tour de France as well, and now here he is destroying the field quite literally in the Tour of Spain, and I can't see him losing the race in Madrid now.
Well, if he gets himself 30 or 40 more seconds advantage over Alejandro Valverde, it's going to be very difficult, because the two men in the last individual time trials were very well matched. And just take a look there at number 75, because that once again is Stijn de Volder. He's really riding a good end to his Vuelta.
He's riding a very strong whole race, this rider, and Discovery Channel carrying off the team victory, and still the king of the mountains, and we're running out of mountains after today. Nice helpful flag there from Spain indicating the wind behind the riders now, and if anything this is going to help Vinokourov get more time.
Help the lone leader, will push him. He'll have the wind on his back going over the final couple of kilometres. This man now is trying to survive. Vinokourov is so strong there, just ticking out a very powerful rhythm. He knows now that with every pedal stroke that he ticks over here, he's going to extend his lead. He's got 37 seconds advantage over the group of Valverde, and about 20 seconds over Sastre and Kashakin.
And going, as we speak, going further away now, 20 and 18. As the golden jersey becomes the golden man of this race as he rides towards victory now. We're trying to be kept away from the race by the race referees, but Valverde just has got his rhythm locked in here. Now that helicopter is above that chasing group of riders. He's not very far behind him. Hope he hasn't overcooked it now, because he's looking as though he might be a little bit beginning to struggle here.
Well, I think it's a lot to do, Phil, with the steepness.
Steep,
it's around about 15% at this point, and it really is very difficult. You see the way he's riding. He's having to get out of the saddle every now and again just to keep his machine going forward. In fact, you might be right.
There he is.
Because he's only just around about 100 metres in front of that group with his own teammate Kashakin, and I'm looking to see how far back the man who was the overall leader is Valverde, and I think Valverde might be 17%.
That's steep. That is very... I think Valverde... Is it Valverde or Sastre is just behind here?
That is Sastre.
Sastre.
Yeah. And I think Valverde is just a little bit further back in front of those machines there. And so he may well be riding himself back. And there is... Yes, it is, because there is Rodriguez. He will be pacing number 51 Valverde back into this group, and he may well be saving the day.
Well, these boys have really fought for this race. They're not giving up. They're going to fight all the way to the line here. Gomez Marchionte has had a great race. He's only found a handful of riders who have been slightly better, and he's going to give it another shot here now. And Kashakin is going after him. There's the Valverde group, and that is Anton there, who's swung over to the right of the road. Igor Anton. He's had his moment. Rodriguez continues to pace up, and Pierre Pipoli is in there too.
Well, it looks as if Alejandro Valverde is pulling himself back in there, because from 37 seconds it's now down to 32 seconds, and maybe Alexander Vinokourov has just a little bit overassumed on his abilities here, because this is a beast of a climb. 16-17%, it really hurts and digs in.
Well, he went from about 5.5 kilometres out, and that was before the road really got steep. There they are, just off his shoulder now. We're on 16%. He tried to look round then, but he couldn't. No, he's going to have another go, and this time he'll see somebody coming, have a second take. Doesn't know who it is, except it won't be Valverde, but I don't know whether he'll spot that.
Amazing thing about the sport of professional cycling, the spectators will support anybody. Those are probably Spanish supporters there, but because this man is in the golden jersey, he's the leader of the Vuelta a España, they're supporting him and encouraging him to get to the top of this climb, even though in doing so he's defeating their man in the white jersey there, Valverde.
Well, Rodriguez doing a great ride here, trying to drag his team captain back in, but this isn't the second group on the road. This is the group 14 seconds behind. He's 34 seconds, in fact, behind Vinokourov at the moment. That makes 43, and he loses a bonus as well. He could be nearly a minute, well, could be over a minute behind by tonight.
Well, but he's heard you. He's decided now I've got to go. Thanks a lot, Rodriguez. You've done a great job. You've helped me out a fraction. Now I've got to try and pull myself back into this race. You never must panic when you're the former leader of a race like this. You've got to try and consolidate. You've got to try and ride at your own rhythm, because sometimes if you try and follow a rider like Alexander Vinokourov, you can absolutely pop, and instead of losing 20 or 30 seconds, you can lose 20 or 30 minutes. Oh, look at that.
It's a terrific camera angle, but it does give you some idea of how steep this road is to the top of the Pandera. It's the cruelest climb of the race, and Alexander Vinokourov, I think, is beginning to struggle just that little bit now. I hope he got his gears right for this climb, because he made his move very early on. He was hoping to get big gains. They're not coming, and Valverde might claw his way back here.
He may well do. He's just got to control himself. Look how difficult this is. He looks over his shoulder thinking, oh, I wonder when the top is going to come. This is such a beast of a climb. And Kashakin has shed the other riders. Now he's taking off in lone pursuit.
That's amazing, and nobody, we missed the jump there, but nobody has even tried to catch him up. Remember, it's the 1-2 the other way round at the start of the climb. Now he's shouting at the guys to get out of the way. He's coming up. Oh, this is a terrific battle, the final showdown here, and the gap is stretching. 30 seconds.
Well, Alejandro Valverde completely and utterly on his own now. Well, joined by Sammy Sanchez. Well, it's not Sammy Sanchez, Anton has got there. So you can see the sky is starting to get heavy as well. I hope these guys get to the top before the heavens open and it starts to rain. Vinokourov is really suffering now. This man here, Andrei Kashakin, his teammate, is theoretically the much better climber. He's more slightly built, and in fact he's ridden across the gap.
Well, that's a tremendous effort, and this is a rider who was in trouble only yesterday, and now I think for once Vinokourov can't wait to have him alongside him here, just like he was glad to have Tommy Danielson along for the ride, because now we've got the old firm again, the two boys from Kazakhstan. If they can get together, then they could prize this gap finally in their favour. He's looking over his shoulder. I'm wondering if he just knows yet it's him, or if he just hopes it's him.
Well, I think he knows. He will recognise that colour. That's the colour which represents the national champions jersey. It was the colour of the jersey that he was wearing last year, and I think the two of them now have got a very good chance to consolidate. Look at the chaos a little bit further down, but he's doing a good job. He's pulling himself back, this man. He's a true champion. 23 seconds from 37 a few moments ago.
That's terrific riding by Valverde, proving himself to be the champion we know he is, and Sastre is now cracking a little bit. Sastre uncoupled at the back as Pipoli tries to go forward with the move, along with Anton. Sastre's fragility again on the horizon here as we lose him. Anton turning out to be quite a rider towards the end of this tour.
And for Carlos Sastre, let's not forget, with that move by Andrei Kashakin, he could see himself losing his podium position, and that is an important thing for him. He would certainly like to get onto the podium here in the Vuelta, as he did in the Tour de France earlier in the year. Look at this man. We're now looking at the mountains of the moon up here. It really is an unbelievable backdrop.
Gomez Marchante, still in the hunt for a high finish in Madrid. It is getting very cold up here now. You might have seen the breath of the riders on the climb. And Gomez there zipping up his jersey. The crowd are having none of it. They've disappeared for the moment. Now Kashakin, is he going to try and help? I don't think he can help him. He's going to have to follow in his slipstream again.
I tell you what, though, Vinokourov is really suffering. They've got to a slightly flatter part of the course here. They're inside of 2 kilometres to go, and look at that. He's having to get out of the saddle just to stay on the wheel of his teammate here, Vinokourov. But Vinokourov, Phil, is battling with his bike. Look at the way the shoulders are going. He's trying to find a little bit of extra force. If you look back there, there's still a fairly big gap.
Well, this mountain is so barren now, so unhospitable. There's nothing grows up here, and the snow will be back soon. 22 seconds to go. I think that's a terrific chase by Valverde. He's limited this. This race won't lie down. He's still very much in this race for victory in Madrid. And look, he's still kicking there.
still fighting, still going, still trying to reduce that 22-second deficit that he's got over Alexander Vinokourov. He wants to keep himself right up there. He wants to keep himself in with a chance, because let's not forget that if this man, Phil, at 9 seconds can keep it as seconds, his sprinting ability could still always bring him the possibility of the victory with the bonuses out on the course.
Vinokourov, the concentration of his teammate Kashikin as they can. Did you see that sign then, Paul? I'm absolutely certain it said 25%.
Ow, that's unbelievable. These men really are flogging it out on the slopes here of the Sierra de la Pandera. It really is a beast of a climb, and I think young Alexander Vinokourov here at 33 years of age, I think he may be over-assumed on how difficult this climb was, because this is, I would say, one of the most difficult climbs of the whole Vuelta.
Oh, vicious isn't the word here. This is living hell for these two riders, and they're the leaders of the race. Imagine what's happening way down the mountain with the other riders. There must be chaos down there, and this man is still climbing, if anything, stronger than ever. 28 seconds, may have conceded a couple of seconds just now.
A little bit, but he will not give up. He will keep fighting all the way to the summit of this climb. You can see Anton in there as well, and it looks like people are just hanging on the back there. He's normally a brilliant climber, but today he's having the pace dictated to him by the man in the white jersey, leader of the Pro Tour.
Gritting his teeth as he will. This is Carlos Sastre here. He's down, but he's not out. He's just keeping them in his sight, but he's praying now, like everybody, I think, for the finish of this climb.
Well, he wants to try and keep himself a podium position, but that could well be disappearing away from him here this afternoon, because I think it may well tip to the advantage of Andrei Kashekin with this ride here, and this position may well be decided on the penultimate day's individual time trial.
How often have we seen this year? Two riders from the same team, the same two men, delivering a real hurtful blow to the rider in white. But he's not given up yet. 43 seconds now to the two leaders, 27 to the chase group. This is going to be a real rough ride. Sastre is now 43 back. He's in the process of certainly losing a minute.
This is Tommy Danielson, and he is now in the company of Carlos Sastre. They're trying, you see, when you get into a situation like this, you look at the car in front of you and you set that as your goal. You try and catch it if you can, and that helps a fraction. It's like putting a carrot in front of a donkey. Now, how about this for a backdrop? It really is an amazing scene.
Well, they're cutting their way through the moon surface here, that's for sure, and the temporary respite from the climbs as they go downhill. It kicks up again. It's not quite there, but it's not long now before we see the 1 kilometre to go kite. Two riders clear, both from the same team, both from the same country, and when it seemed for almost 10 days that a rider from Spain, Valverde, was going to win, these two riders have swung the table on the sting of the tail, which is the end of this year's Vuelta.
Well, we're inside now the last 300 or 400 metres for Alexander Vinokourov and Andrei Kashekin. I feel certain that he will allow his teammate to take the victory. He's probably more worried about getting to the top in front of Valverde, and maybe not so concerned with the time bonuses available.
Well, there's the inside pass for Andrei Kashekin, and I think you're right. I think he'll let him go. He makes sure he gets the same time, though, and then you get the second place time bonus. This will be a nice little win for the national champion of Kazakhstan, and yet another win for the team. They are eating the Vuelta alive. He increases his overall lead. Only a question now is by how much, and it's been a terrific show of defiance by Valverde, who really came good towards the end of this climb. This is Gomez Marchand. He's still clear. He's going to come up for the third place finish here, and then we should see Valverde sprinting in behind him.
Well, he's done a good job, this young man here, as he comes up to the top. There is Valverde coming up, and he's trying to make sure he keeps that gap as little as possible to keep himself in with a chance of still winning this race.
So there he is in fourth place, Valverde. He comes over in fifth. Igor Anton there is the rider who gets sixth, and those are the real men who've conquered the climb today. Tommy Danielson perhaps not quite as hot as he was yesterday, but he's coming in anyway there in a fighting eighth place, and he's inside in less than a minute of the winner.
Well, I have to say, Phil, even though the gaps are not as big as I expected them to, this is a fairly impressive performance by Team Astana, and Alexander Vinokourov allowing his teammate and national champion to get himself the win. He consolidates now, and now he's starting to look like a serious contender for the win on Sunday.
Well, they're also going to have a real big tussle here. Fortunately, there's time in hand over Astana in Discovery Channel, so they'll keep the lead in Discovery. There's the result of the stage, though. Kashekin gets his win now for the team. Astana, a 1-2. Marchand, Egoi, another good ride for him. Valverde in 4th place, right down the list to the top 10, and Carlos Sastre looking a little bit frail. 48 seconds off the list, and a 2-second gain by Tommy Danielson on Sastre. Might be important later. There he is. This time it's Kashikin, the road race champion of Kazakhstan, who gets the victory. And the congratulations, but it's the overall that's going to take a nice little look at now for these boys, because Vinokourov now leads by almost a minute, 53 seconds over Valverde. It's not done and dusted yet. Kashikin is now back on the podium in 3rd, Sastre down to 4th where he finished in the Tour de France, and he's been in 4th before here, and Igor Anton completing the top 10, but Tom Danielson consolidating, I think, his 6th place overall.
Well, a big smile on his face now. He now realises he's laying down the foundations for a big win.
And a lot of riders gave up today. Yes, and among them was Danilo De Luca. He's heading now probably to the World Championships. We look at the stage here, which leaves us just the final weekend ahead after this, as we go from Jaén down to the finish there in Ciudad. 2 climbs, both 3rd and 1 of 2nd pole. Should be a routine day now. It's the time trial I'll be thinking of tomorrow.
Well, all the big men will be thinking about the upcoming final individual time trial, and is what we would call normally a stage of transition. 205 kilometres from Jaén to Ciudad Real.
And as we suspected, a breakaway of little consequence away all day. It looks like a truce has been called for the moment between the big battle between Valverde and Vinokourov. And this is the breakaway. Fofanov is the rider from in Kazakhstan, dare I say. And the Team CSC rider who has attacked is Lars Bak of Denmark, trying to steal a march approaching the finish.
Well, that's Fofanov in 3rd from the back. Well, 3rd from the front, I should say, in the green shorts, and Jose Luis Arrieta at the back here. And the gaps have appeared, and it may well be that Lars Bak has created the surprise.
Oh, he's got a terrific lead here, and this is pretty much a straight finish now, and these guys are so fast at the moment, there's no way they can even get onto each other's wheels. Just look at the effort being made here by Arrieta at the back. They're just about closing it down. As they swing up towards the finish now, Lars Bak could be his big moment, being chased by the rider. Had that long breakaway about 2 weeks ago, and that was David Loosely from the Lamprey team. And just look at this now. Bak, I think, has just done too much, and he has left too much to go. This could be a win for Loosely. They've opened the door there for some reason, because through on the inside has gone the rider from AG2R, Jose Luis Arrieta. Do you know, I think they've been looking at the wrong man, because I think he's going to win.
Well, he was a man in 4th position a long way back, and he's seen the chance here. One of the oldest riders in the breakaway at 35.
At 35, and if he hangs on here from Fofanov, and he has, that is without doubt the finest victory of his career. No, it's not going to make any difference overall, because here's the remnants of the breakaway coming in, but it's certainly going to be a nice victory for him.
Well, that's Vicente Garcia Acosta on the front in the dark black jersey there of Case d'Epargne. That's Gusev for Team Discovery Channel, and they're winding up the sprint to the line.
And the other rider there from Lotto is Peter Martins. They were all in a breakaway, got split up towards the end. It's been out virtually all day, and Discovery scoring well in the team race, because the main field around about 12 minutes back the last time we heard about it. And again, there they are. Now we'll have a look at the result here while we wait for the field to come in. Arrieta, Fofanov, Loosely, Bak and Gusev of Team Discovery at 30 seconds, getting a 5th place. Very important for the team, that.
Well, leading them up to the line there, it's almost 10 and a half, almost 11 minutes. And it looks to me as if Eric Zabel's up at the front there trying to get himself a few extra points. But I think the man who should clean it up is Thor Hushovd.
Well, Hushovd has kept this lead in the points ever since, I think it was the 3rd stage of this race, and he's not going to take any exception today. Here he comes through to the line, being challenged there all of the way by a Phonak rider, and I think it's Aurelian Clerc, but he's going to make... No, in fact, Clerc has got it over Hushovd. So it'll be a 10th place finish for Thor, and he gets points for that, of course.
Well, he's not too worried about it, because he's got a pretty big advantage now in that classification, a classification which he certainly wants to get the win of. But this man made the right move. You know, he hung back for an awful long time, Jose Luis Arrieta, never gave up, waited for Lars Bak to be caught, and as soon as Lars Bak was caught, boom, went the counter-attack, and it was a good one.
Well, AG2R don't win too many stages of the Vuelta, but they've got a good one there. Overall, Alexander Vinokourov keeps all of his lead, 53 seconds over Valverde. Now it's the last time trial coming up. Kashikin, Sastre and Marchante. No change at all here. Might be a slight reshuffle in the time trial, although the gaps between the placings have stretched a little bit now, and I don't think that Alexander Vinokourov will be so afraid of the time trial tomorrow as he might have been of the one earlier in the race. And it looks like 134 riders are going to make the finish here now on this final weekend of the Vuelta España as we look at the 27.5 kilometre time trial route before tomorrow's ride into Madrid.
Well, a fairly good route for the riders, a circular route going away from Rivas Futura, which is a football stadium, right in the outskirts of Madrid. It's a little bit lumpy down towards the end, and if you don't save something for the final few kilometres of the 27.5 kilometre test, you could see yourself losing time in the last 5Ks.
But how much time? And that's the answer here now as we watch Thor Hushovd arriving as well. And I don't think Thor's going to worry too much about not getting points on this because he's made that jersey his own.
Well, that was Laszlo Bodrogi coming in there with the first best time at 34.05. A very good individual time trialist. His is the mark that I think will stand up there for quite some time. And once again, Stuart O'Grady has got the second best time at the moment, but a little disappointing, I think, Phil, David Miller in only 5th place.
Yes, Miller actually said before the race he wanted to win this time trial because he's now heading to the World Championships, but it hasn't happened. Valverde gets the countdown, not from the last position as it was the last time he rode the time trial. Can he gain any of that time back? I don't think he can gain the best part of a minute in just 27 kilometres.
A little bit too short, but cast your mind back, Phil, to a time trial we commentated on that was 24 kilometres in length, and a man by the name of Greg LeMond came back from a 50-second deficit. You were right on that occasion.
I was lucky. Vladimir Karpit's not a bad time trial. It's just come in now. 2nd place. Bodrogi still sitting on the best time. He's the former time trial champion of Hungary and now the last man to go. Alexander Vinokourov of Kazakhstan carries the golden jersey into the last 2 days of the Vuelta España. Now, is he going to go out on a high note and beat Valverde again and steal a few more seconds?
Well, I think he'll make that an important note for him. He's going out very gingerly there, not very fast at all. Nice and sensible. A bit of a tricky corner there to begin with. Now at 11.3 kilometres, Andrei Kashekin has got, I think, just about the 8th or 9th best time. Not a bad time for him.
Not a bad time, but as you can see there, Tommy Danielson's 14.44. And Miller's 14.49 and Kashekin's gone through in 14.44 as well. So same time as Tommy Danielson at the moment. This is Valverde. I wonder how he's feeling. He'll know by now if he's going good.
Well, as soon as you come out of the starting blocks, you get an idea, an indication, the legs start talking to you. So let's have a look. This is actually a pretty impressive time. We've still got a while to go before we get to that time check. 11.3 kilometres. Best time at the moment is Gusev, and in fact, that's gone through and been beaten by Valverde. This man, Phil, is fighting.
Yes, he is, and he's had just that one bad moment which cost him the race lead and probably the Tour, but has he done something here to just gain a few more seconds back? Here's Sastre too. Time check on him shortly, but he too has slipped away.
Well, he's looking, and he's got his own personal little battle as well, because just in front of him is the possibility of a podium position. That's certainly what he would like to try and get. Getting down there, very aero as he comes into that corner, very close to the directional island there, making sure he doesn't lose any impetus at all as he goes round that corner to keep his pace nice and high.
I really thought for a moment he was going to clip that island at the time. Now, Vinokourov, this is the one we want. 11.3 kilometres, aiming Valverde's time of 14.18. He's going to be behind it, I think. Yes, he is, but not by very much. But there's a little surprise. Valverde will not go down without a fight. Vinokourov through 2nd best.
Well, he's only lost himself 3 seconds, and let's not forget, going back to the profile which we saw a few moments ago, it's in the last part of the race that it is very difficult indeed. This is now Sammy Sanchez coming up to the line. Now look at the time, 33.44, and he's gone best time.
I have to tell you, that's a real surprise to me. Sanchez getting the best time by 20 seconds over a recognised, real good time trial rider in Bodrogi. Now here's the battle, a 4-second gap between the two out on the road.
Well, it looks as if Vinokourov now has turned around that 3-second deficit into a 4-second advantage over Alejandro Valverde. I have to say, Valverde has obviously listened to Miguel Indurain. He's learned his time trialling, he's changed his position a fraction, and he knows that if you want to be a Grand Tour master, you have to be good in the time trial.
Sastre coming in, sitting in 5th place at the moment behind Stuart O'Grady. And Sanchez's time now well past there, 33.45. He gets 5th at the moment, and there's still a couple more to come home.
What a bad ride for Carlos Sastre, getting himself inside the top 10 in an individual time trial, because again, as we've said many times, it's not really the discipline of the sport that he enjoys. 20.5 kilometres. Valverde has gone through there with the second best time, just 3 seconds in arrears of Sammy Sanchez. And as you can see here, just looking at the course here, Phil, it's starting to get a little bit lumpy.
The guys holding the bikes in the air there, saluting Valverde. And we'll see what time he does. He's not too far away now. He's got a very good style and he's riding pretty well. He will know the close proximity of his time to that of Alexander Vinokourov. But whichever way you look at it, he's not gaining or losing any time which is of any significance. There's the situation. Everybody through at 20 kilometres, and Vinokourov has the best time, 12 seconds up.
That's impressive by Alexander Vinokourov. He wants to go out of this final 3-week stage race of the year a la Lance Armstrong, I think, proving that if you have the golden jersey on your shoulders, you have to prove that you are the strongest man. Look at that now, it's 13, 14 seconds. But I have to say, I think Alejandro Valverde is defending very well.
He's doing it to the best of his ability. He's never lost sight of this race at all, but he must be feeling very disappointed deep down. Here's Kashikin coming in, 11th for him. Exactly 1 minute behind Sanchez. That's a big loss.
A big loss for him, and after all, let's not forget he's more of a climber than a time trialist, but a fairly sensible move. Now this is a man coming up, and he could well challenge here, because look at that, 33.43. No, it's a long way to the line.
He's slipped behind Sanchez now. He's looking at Bodrogi, and 34.05 for him. He might just get the better of Bodrogi here. He's sitting in second place, Valverde. He's just going to hit the line just slightly quicker, I think. Yes, 13 seconds to the good against Sanchez. So Sanchez really has set himself a fabulous result today. Now, can he beat Vinokourov, who appears to be accelerating as he's been coming through from the last 10k of this race?
Well, he's the man. Look at this, out of the saddle, he's sprinting. He's got the advantage, Phil, of being able to see the time on the finishing line above him.
Well, look at this now. Alexander Vinokourov is leaving the Tour of Spain with a bang here. I think he might well steal the stage. It'll be a great time trial victory for him as he comes up, because this will be his 3rd stage win, and it will be 6 seconds quicker than Samuel Sanchez. He goes to Madrid tomorrow as the winner, and don't forget, today, Paul, was his 33rd birthday.
Happy birthday, Alexander Vinokourov. A great performance by him, proving once again that if you are the overall winner of a Grand Tour, the best way to go out is as the winner of the final individual time trial.
Just a la Lance Armstrong. Vinokourov 6 seconds better than Sanchez, 19 quicker than Valverde, so his lead now will go out to over 1 minute. Looking down the list, it's familiar names here now, with 1 or 2 strange ones completing the top 10. And there he is onto the podium. And now, as the winner of the stage, and very shortly as the leader of the Tour, with just 1 stage to go in Madrid tomorrow. Well, he has won time trial before. I think he won a stage in the Tour of Germany once in a time trial, but this is a very special one. 1 minute 12 now, the winning gap, maybe even more tomorrow, who knows. Valverde in second place. Kashikin has climbed onto the podium in 3rd. Sastre is down there in 4th. Let's have a look where Tom is. Hangs on there to that 6th place, 20 seconds in hand. He stays there just over Samuel Sanchez. Might be a few bonus sprints out on the road tomorrow. Tommy better watch out for himself. But there's the leader of the Tour with a day to go, Alexander Vinokourov. So to stage 21, par procession as it was, all coming into Madrid together under the escort of the Astana team, the all-conquering Astana team. We're going to put 2 men on the podium, but now the race is on, and the prestige of winning the final stage.
Ultima Vuelta, the last lap here, right in the very heart of Madrid. It looks like one of the riders from Quick-Step has managed to slip the foal behind. They're trying to organise the front end of the main field to bring these boys home.
This was Kevin de Weert here trying to get clear, and he's got a nice little gap as he tries to hang on to it, running down the back. But the cavalry are massing, and I think getting ready to deliver the sprinters. Thor Hushovd doesn't need to get too well placed to run away as winner of the points competition. Remember, last year he won the Tour de France green jersey. Now he's picking up the Tour of Spain. He'll be the first ever Norwegian rider to do that. Somebody is slipping off the front.
Yes, I'm just trying to see which team is on the front end of this main field trying to get the big organisation organisation. There you can see the gap is not very big at all. There's a long line of riders at the front end of the main field, and those will be the teammates of the sprinters trying to get this organised.
Well, this is Kevin de Weert, still trying to hold them off. They're doing a pretty good job at it too, but 5 kilometres, he won't do it for 5 kilometres, I'm sure of that. The pressure's on. Some of the big sprinters no longer here. We lost Robin McEwen, eliminated very early on, that's stage 5. And now since stage 16, Alessandro Petacchi is no longer with us either.
But we've still got an awful lot of very fast sprinters. Consistent man has been Stuart O'Grady for Team CSC. Thor Hushovd is the big strong man. Freddie Rodriguez is still in there as well for Davita Monlotto. He may well try and come up with a win. But they are all now under the guard here of Team CSC. Maybe, Phil, they are going to try and get the win for Stuart O'Grady.
Well, I have to say it would be nice for Stuart to land one because he's been consistently placed. He's riding exceptionally well since recovering from his crashes. Now, can he go out on a big note here? Because the upcoming World Championships, I reckon he'll be one of the favourites. It's a good course for a rider like O'Grady. There's the long, thin line of CSC. They've still got to tame Kevin de Weert, but it shouldn't take too much longer.
Well, I think it's pretty much done there. There's de Weert over on the right-hand side of the course, and Team CSC all over the front end of this main field. 5 kilometres, we're inside that now. It's going to take these guys around about 4.5 minutes now to get to the finish line. Look at this speed.
Well, move heavily on with the brakes as they fan out and come around this rather tight turn at the top. It's a chance for the sprinters to reposition and get up behind the teammates as they line up for the finish now. This is the final circuit, don't forget.
Well, I remember a couple of years ago, Max van Heeswijk caused a great surprise to all the sprinters by jumping out of the bunch in the final corner and catching them all by surprise. Just caught a quick glimpse there as well, I think, Phil, of the Australian national champion, Will Walters at Walker. He was in there just sitting at the back, so it looks as if he's managed to get round his first 3-week Grand Tour.
He certainly has, and you're quite right, you did. I saw him too. He won the Under-23 championship, but he was also the first Australian to cross the line, so in effect he was also the national Australian road champion. Russell Van Hout was the rider who pulled on that jersey.
But I've noticed that riding in Europe this year, he has actually been wearing the Australian national champion's jersey. I'm not quite sure about the rules there, but anyway, I think he looks good in it, and he was the first man to cross the line.
I'm pretty sure the Australians won't run the two events concurrently because it was quite embarrassing at the time. Anyway, 3 kilometres to go now as these riders start to sort themselves out. There's still no organisation down there. Still a few guys. CSC probably have best control of the peloton, but others are trying to get on terms. Robert Foster's also in here still, don't forget, and he picked off the last stage of the Giro d'Italia. He's won already. 38.5 miles an hour for the riders setting the pace.
We're ticking off the kilometres here at 60 seconds a pop. These men have got complete control. They've got it lined out nicely. Stuart O'Grady's back there in about 4th or 5th position, looking very good. The team will lead him out and try and take him up to the last 200 metres and then swing off. But you can be sure there are other riders in there as well waiting for their moment to pounce.
CSC, and the last man in the line is Stuart O'Grady at the moment as they now make this sweeping right-hand turn here, now flat out entering the centre of Madrid again. They've encircled the city for the best part of an hour now, and this time is for keeps.
Well, that is unbelievable speed. We're rocketing at 60 kilometres an hour, 38 miles an hour, as you said just a moment ago. Lost them a little bit down the avenue there, but when they do come out of the tree line there at 2 kilometres to go, I'm sure we'll still see Team CSC on the front in complete and utter control. They've taken the responsibility now of keeping it fast and furious.
Well, they want to get at least a stage win out of this because they're bringing Carlos Sastre home in a 4th place finish, and he'll be in there nice and safe and sound. We haven't seen Alexander Vinokourov since we entered the centre of Madrid. He's keeping his nose clean. And hopefully will stay out of trouble now. He's inside those 3 kilometres to go, which means an accident now won't affect the results. He'll get the time of the winner.
Well, watch out for the confusion. The Phonak rider in there, by the way, is Aurélien Claire. He's been pretty close to the win as well, but it looks as if another team has taken over responsibility at the hairpin bend at 1 kilometre to go, and it looks to me like Milram.
It is amazing, that turn, and somebody's nearly hit. I think somebody hit that
Somebody's
cone.
Gone down.
Oh, somebody did go down. I saw the riders flinch away, and it was a CSC rider. No, it's a Castapon rider.
Yep, he's gone down pretty hard there. I can't quite grasp who that is, but he should be all right. He'll get the same time and he will finish the Vuelta a España. Now, somebody has made a very brave move over on the right-hand side because of all that confusion, and it looks like a Rabobank rider.
Well, he's making a sudden dive for the finish here, but it's going to be a desperate run on his own on the far rails because the whole field have gone after him here now. There's still quite a workable gap, and I'm not sure who it is, but it is a Rabobank rider, you're right, and a desperate attempt to steal the stage here for him as the whole peloton try to put this one to rights now. Who's going to take this? We expect to see Hushovd in the mix as well. And this is a tall, thin Rabobank rider, and here comes the charge behind now of Milram. Zabel is now in there, his mouth closed and looking very cool as they line up for the sprint now, and they open it in the middle now. Phonak are diving there, Orderly and Clerc is trying to get on turns, but the familiar sprint figure of Eric Zabel coming to the middle. Thor Hushovd on the right, Clerc in the middle. Is Zabel going to get win number 2? He is. The grand old man has done it again. Eric Zabel takes it on the line, and Thor Hushovd has gone out with a flourish because I think, Paul, I might be wrong, that's his 4th second place of the 3-week race.
It certainly is, but this is how you do it. Look at that, Eric Zabel has got the lead out from his teammate there. There's Aurélien Clerc in the Phonak jersey there. Zabel now kicks, opens it up. It's a familiar style of Eric Zabel there. We know this man has got the power, and he's now got the speed on this occasion as he goes up to the line, gets himself the win. And Phil, I'm trying to think, but this may well be the first time he's ever won the last day of a major stage race.
I can't recall him doing it. He certainly never did in the Tour de France. I don't think he's done much in the Tour of Italy. You could be right. He got a good lead out there. I think it was Marco Velo who took him to the line there. And Zabel gets the victory and is second of the race. Hushovd second. That'll consolidate his victory in the points. Clerc did a good ride there for 3rd place. Ventoso, Freddy Rodriguez. There's Velo, the lead-out man. He was almost in the places himself and probably could have been because he let him go just before the line. There he is, Eric, at 36 years of age. He's used to all these flowers. He's such a great professional bike rider. I know we say it all of the time, but he is ultra polite person as well. Eric Zabel gets the last stage victory, but the man who takes overall honours. And what would he have done in the Tour de France this year if he had been allowed to ride? Alexander Vinokourov gets the victory by 1 minute and 12 seconds over Valverde and 3 minutes 12 over his teammate Kashikin. Tommy Danielson improves on 1 place on his result last year, finishes the race in 6th.
Yeah, good ride by Tommy Danielson, very solid indeed. Sammy Sanchez also moved up yesterday with his performance, but look at all these Discovery riders in the top 20. Stein de Volder, I reckon that's a good ride by him, but the best ride was done by this man, and we almost discounted him, Phil, in the first week of the race when he lost 2 minutes on the first mountaintop finish.
I really thought he cooked his goose, to be absolutely honest, losing 2 minutes on stage 5. He came back good. It took him a long time to get it back though, but now he's going to get to the final golden jersey, and that's all that matters. A big result too for Discovery Channel because they got a win in the team race. Hope you've enjoyed this. It was a great tour of Spain, and until the next time, for Paul Sherwin, I'm Phil Liggett saying so long, and we'll see you again soon.